places, well, actually, 15 other places that teams are playing. They're thinking with the new airport, as well as Forbes Field, there will be a lot of people flying their private planes into Kansas City and be there for the whole World Cup. Now, another part of that, it's a little far for Kansas City for us to entertain, but each of those 48 teams will have a base camp. And that base camp, usually they will have thousands and thousands of their fans flocking to that base camp. And then they'll be going out to wherever they're playing. Lawrence is trying to place Rock Chalk Park as one of those base camps. And if they do, there will be tremendous numbers of people coming to Lawrence for that particular team. So her interest was to get us to be thinking about how we might be able to leverage literally hundreds of thousands of people in the area. She was talking to 6 historical organizations in the county, but there's a lot of possibilities out there. Now, my point is, we probably should have a city committee addressing the 250th and tying to that. How can we, I should say the World Cup is from mid-May to the end of July. And one of the quarterfinals will be played in Kansas City. And I think that's late July, I forgot, 12th maybe, or later than that. But anyway, so that'll even be more people. So anyway, that's what I'm throwing out there just to let you know. I'm not asking to be on the committee or to be the chair. Just want to get you interested in having a committee. Any questions?
Well, I'll just state, without getting into too much detail, we have had some discussion on the World Cup stuff. I'll be honest, I'm waiting on some answers before I bring it to the council on that, because I did get reached out to from our state legislators on this.
What is it?
Huh?
What is it? Sounds like a surprise.
Well, no, I mean, it's just, we gotta get commitments from Baker to see if they can house people. We need to get to see what that looks like. I'm waiting on the state to get us back information on if we can use their logos for the World Cup
Yeah, right.
for 2026. So those conversations have happened, but us as a city can't do anything without having a place for people to stay. So
Yep.
everything kind of hinges on Baker and waiting on an answer from them to see, hey, are you guys interested in housing people? And then, okay, now it's kind of go time for us as a city.
And
We got space for camping. It'll have the showers and bathrooms.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of stuck, really, so we need Baker's involvement. I mean, that's kind of the key for us to have involved.
And she did indicate when we thought the base camps would be identified, but I didn't write that down.
I think it's this fall.
Yeah,
From what I was told from
that
the
was my
state.
thought too.
Because they're talking about housing people all the way out to Salina
Yeah.
for this, for the World Cup. So I've had conversations with Dr. Murray. I'm just waiting for her team to get back with us.
Yeah, right now it seems like a long ways out there.
Yeah, I hope you're quick though.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that we were in talks to get the quarterfinal game. Do we host an entire group? Is that how that's going to be? So there'll be 4 teams total?
Correct.
Or is it spread out to where the groups travel to different stadiums?
I think they're going to have to travel because they're going to pick a base camp somewhere and then they have to go to
But-
another stadium. What?
The groups play at Arrowhead.
Right, is it just one group? So there's groups of 4. Is it just one group of 4 that only plays at Arrowhead? Or do they travel around? I don't know.
Well, it's going to be 6 teams. 6 teams played at Kansas City Stadium.
That sounds pretty close to it. Yeah.
Round robin, a semifinal, final.
They go off points, so.
But it works like a tournament, so they can't really figure out. their
Yeah,
base
they don't
camp.
know who the teams are, I'd say. There's no qualifiers.
So no, trust me, you will be hearing much more about this.
Yep.
And so will the council. We just, as a city, we didn't know which way to go. until
Oh, yeah,
Baker
sure.
Gave us information, so
Thank you
Good
much.
stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
it's exciting.
That's one of those things. Nothing like we're putting on hand. Facilities, you have to go to restrooms, you have to go.
No, but if Baker, I'll tell the council, I have no problem with that. My conversation with Baker is if they'll open up their dorm rooms to house some of these families and these teams, or not teams.
What period in time is this? This is summertime?
This is the entire month of June. The entire month of June, they'll be,
So school's closed,
school's closed,
all except for summer school.
but they'll have camps. So, but I think I hit her.
Dr. Murray early enough that they could move their camps to make way for these people traveling.
That would be great. Now what are we gonna do with the restaurants? Corey can't handle all the 5,000 people at a time coming in.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a problem. That'll be a good problem to have for all our local restaurants. I mean, I'll welcome it probably any day, so.
So what's a hot dog?
But yeah, I mean, I'd envision seeing, whatever parties or whatever they do for these games at Sullivan Square, at the brewery, at the community center.
Who are you consulting with on this?
Right now, I've had one discussion with the state legislature.
Which state legislature?
Our representative, Kerry Barth. And then I've had a conversation with Dr. Murray, the president of Baker. And until I hear back from Dr. Murray on what she can do, that really kind of hinges on what the city can do. Because if we can't house people, that's dependent on what I tell the state. Because the state is more interested in how many people can the house, so we can list you on the list of places for these people to go and stay. So
It's gonna be interesting.
it's going to be interesting. I think Baker will play ball. I think we'll be able to do something in the world. I just don't know. I don't know what Baker's with that dorm situation. I don't know how many people they can house. So.
Well, they got a hotel, motel.
Yep. Any other questions on that?
So,
Okay, new business, Brick Street TA resolution. Glenn, you wanna take this?
I'm sure you remember, we're in the middle of the application process for another transportation alternatives grant. This one for our Brick Streets, it's due May 17th, I believe, and part of the application is passing the resolution. So that's what you got in front of you here tonight. And as we're going through that process, we're also asking a lot of people for letters of support. Those letters of support really count for a lot during the application process. So we're actually going through round one for this process of this application with KDOT, and so they put us into the final round to apply. So that's coming up also this month. So I think we're gonna have a really good application, of course, but this is just one part of that. It's just a resolution. Everybody who's applying's got to do it. So it's very pro forma.
Have you signed the application, Casey?
No, not yet. you
Not
know.
until it's approved.
Yeah. So we're getting close with it. So, any other questions about the resolution or application or anything that we're doing there? This would be for the Brick Street. I think we showed you the map last time with the streets that would be.
Do we have the funds to make the 20%?
Yes. Yep. That would be coming out of our sales tax that we passed about 2 years ago now. The quarter-cent sales tax would be our match.
That was 20% of $1,900,000, right?
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right.
Anybody else would probably like to speak to this agenda item? Council discussion?
When we become involved with another agency other than ourselves, do they furnish the inspectors and see that this is done right, or is that up to our engineering company?
That's up to the engineering company, I believe.
The way this normally works in all the projects we've done is it's an 80-20 split, but we do the engineering and inspection. We hire an engineering firm.
So you hire a firm that would
Correct.
be P&G
We
or
bid it,
whoever.
we bid it through them, but that expense is on us.
That's ours.
It is.
That's over and above the 20%.
It is.
questions on this? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution in support of city's transportation alternatives grant application.
Second. So move to second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is Birch Street, or I'm sorry, chip seal project. Well,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For your consideration this evening, we have the chip seal bids for 2024. Just as a quick reminder, we didn't do any sealing at all in 2023 because of lack of aggregate material, meaning granite wasn't available last year. 2024, we're back to phase 4, which is going to focus on West Baldwin. There should be a map included in your council packet, what we're thinking about trying to do this summer. We went out for bids in early March. We received them all and opened the bids on March 22nd. We received 2 from the same 2 that we always get, Harbor Construction and Vance Brothers. And you'll notice that there's quite a difference between the 2 bids this year. Full disclosure, Harbor Construction did turn in an irregular bid. And I'll tell you how that happened. It's about a week prior to these being due, Scott Harbor called me and said, there's no granite available, can we sub trap rock? And at that point in time, I had 0 bids. And I told him, we don't want to exclude anybody, due to lack of material, bid to your availability. And so that's what he did. And so what you're seeing is a bid from Vance Brothers is for granite, and I don't know where they came up with it, but they did. I spoke to both of these gentlemen, both of these contractors late last year, and both of them at that time indicated to me that granite was not available. And so I didn't expect either one of these companies to bid granite. So that created a little bit of a problem for us. I talked to Glenn about it, talked to Jason Hoskins, and I said, here's the situation. We've got a little bit, I guess you'd call it a semi-irregular bid. I did give him verbal permission to bid trap rock, but now we have one company that bid one material and one company that bid another. And so to make things completely fair to both vendors, we went back to Vance Brothers and asked them for a deduct for trap rock. About a week later, Perry sent me a letter indicating that this late in the season, transportation costs, the cost would be exactly the same. There would be no deduct for trap rock. That's kind of the long way around to get to where we are now. I did have Scott Harbor send me an email stating that they did bid trap rock, they did not bid granite. And so I ran it by Dakota to see if there's any issues with accepting an irregular bid. There is language in the bid documents that allows the city to accept or decline any bid for any reason, more or less. And so nobody saw a problem with it. And I also called Vance Brothers personally and talked to Perry. I told him what happened just to make sure that there wasn't going to be a problem because, I don't want anybody to walk away angry about this. But he wasn't. He understood. And so long story short, staff is recommending that we use Harbor Construction again, their bids for the trap rock rather than granite, primarily because it fits better in what I have to spend this year. It fits the budget.
I know we always do trap rock.
Well, I didn't really know about it up until this point. I knew, we had used haydite in phase 1, and then we switched to granite because we didn't really care for the haydite. And so this came available more so last year when granite became unavailable. And so Harbor Construction laid down some up in Topeka that we actually went up and looked at and got a sample of it and saw it in person. And I think it's worth trying, especially we're working West Baldwin this summer, so that's a good place to try this because West Baldwin's isolated from the rest. If we don't like it, or it's not going to look different like there's 2 different types of material laying side by side. Other than part of the bid we're asking to accept tonight is the base, add alternate 3 and add alternate 4. Add alternate 3 is Orchard Lane, which I wasn't sure up until today that they were going to be ready for that, but we are starting that project on Monday. And so that will be done in time for us to chip seal that road. And add alternate 4 is 10th Street, from High to Orange. I'd like to get that done this year.
Rob, what is your budget for chip seal?
The total for all street repairs of any kind is $204,000. And part of that is because we didn't do any last year. What
So-
comes out of 2801, I think, is fuel tax revenue. And so part of that carried over from last year.
So we're not getting any High Street done?
I got a bid on that because I just wanted to know what it was going to cost to do it. But it really doesn't make a lot of sense to do High Street yet until we get the truck route done, because probably 11th Street to Lawrence will probably get redone when we do the truck route. That's why the other ad alternate's 11th Street. I was trying to get a bid number on that to see what it was going to cost us. We will go patch those this summer. It'll be part of what we do, but I didn't think it made a lot of sense to spend money to chip seal it and then tear it up if we do move on a truck route someday.
And your recommendation is what now, which ad alternates?
The base bid, ad alternate 3 and ad alternate 4, and that's $126,541.10. And that'll leave me enough money to buy crack seal.
146.
126, 541.10. That'll leave me enough money to buy crack seal and do some hot mix, asphalt patching, that kind of thing.
Or is the condition of the current roads that require double chip seal on
Yes.
some of these? You have to get them up to,
Yes, I think they're labeled on there as blue. Everything that's blue gets a double mat this year.
everything except the base bid yellow. There's base bid yellow chip seal.
Right.
Chip and then base bid blue double, and then
Right.
add alternates are all double.
Yes, yes.
You're under,
And so, the time we got this bid in to now, I'm gonna have to make a couple of changes. I'll make them on the back side of this, from like Elm Street, from like 10th to 11th, is gonna need a double mat. It just shows a single on there. And there's one other one that's gonna need the loop around West Baldwin, Miami Summit Loop. It's gonna need a double chip because it's gotten worse since last year, and so probably need to double lift those. South Street's gravel right now. The street that runs by K&K Grinding's gravel now. That's why they're showing double lifts. Newton Street between 8th and 9th was the first gravel street that we chip seal, and it's holding up real well. Been real impressed with that.
Isn't the street going north of the high school, that West County, isn't that just chip seal from when they did the 1055? Yeah, that was never asphalt.
Which one?
It was gravel, then it
We-
was gravel, and then it just chip seal, when we did the 1055
I'm not.
widening.
Take
Bulltop?
Eisenhower all the way out of town, and then you go, and then take that first left instead of going straight toward that back way to the lake.
Oh, yeah.
Right, it's a single low entrance
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
That's all
Right.
just chip
Yep.
seal, I don't think that's ever asphalt.
Right. And that will be part of probably what next year, Phase 5 will be 6th to 10th, Ames to High.
I'm looking at longevity,
Yeah.
that's been about 10 years ago, I guess
Yes.
we've done that.
Trying to get it.
Trying to get a gauge on
How long it'll last.
chip seal.
Right. Well, we are too. I mean, it's still relatively new to us.
Yeah,
And then the traffic.
They have all the soccer now out there for all the kids.
has there been any movement made towards the truck lanes, traffic?
Truck route,
Other
11th
than
Street?
Other than what the council did, we seem to be standing on the fence.
No.
That's in public safety committee.
I'm sorry?
That's public safety committee, needs to deal with that.
Right.
Susan, we can handle this.
Apparently we're going.
I think the truck route needs to happen before we do too much of the Brick Street rehab, just to get them off, get them out of downtown, get them on that
But
truck
technically,
route.
don't we have a truck route down Red Street, High Street?
It is, but we don't have any, any type of ordinance keeping them out of downtown right now. So they're better than they used to be. A lot of them do use 11th Street, which is great, and it helps, but I think if we could get that truck route done and done right, I mean, take it clear down to base, curb, gutter, storm drains, the whole bit, I mean, widen it out, then I think they'd be more apt to use that.
It's got to be changed. The intersection of High Street's going to have to be changed.
It'll have to be, yes, it'll have to be,
I
they
remember
struggle, they
years
do
ago,
struggle
there
with
used to
that
be
a
a
little
sign
bit.
out here on 56 that showed this to be a truck route right now through here.
Steve Wilson's been real good to work with about talking to the drivers, trying to keep them out of down. Every once in a while at harvest time, they're gonna go wherever they can get there the quickest,
All
but
depends on who they got driving.
by and large, they use 11th Street and Lawrence Street. So, anyway, that's where we are this year. We'd like to get back at it. You know, I hate it that we missed a year. It threw us off, but, you know, we really don't need to miss two. Funds being what they are, this is the best bang for our buck.
Where are we at with 11th Street? Widening that, making it, where are we at with that? Nowhere?
It's still in the discussion phases, as far as I know, but, you know, I know we're talking about Brick Streets rehab and TA grants and, you know, which is great, and I'm glad that we're going after them, but pecking order, I think we really need to think about getting 11th Street done.
It could be a grant situation.
Is that internal, is that grant?
We can do
It-
TA
it-
grant,
Possibly.
right, but if we're going to go TA grants for the brick streets, we don't need to focus on that one being internal.
We already have a problem with wide 11th Street.
What's that?
We've got a sidewalk down there that's only 18 inches from the street.
You still got the whole east side.
I think
On the east side?
they took that into consideration. Engineering, they planned on that street
I remember
widening.
when they were talking about that,
The reason why the sidewalk's on the west side is because the widening of the street would be on the east side. That's why it didn't get put on the east side.
yeah. And the infrastructure below.
And that's good.
So I think we had them bid out the other side.
Yeah,
There was just too much grout.
Yeah.
Too much road.
But luckily with the sidewalk, it is gonna lower the expense of widening 11th Street because of the drainage pipe that they installed out by 56 Highway. That was one of our biggest
Right.
hang-ups
Was.
on getting that widening. That
I think it was
drainage.
massive.
That took care of a huge chunk.
I hope that works. It looks like it will.
Well, it looks like you're in below the engineer's bid. or what the
Well
engineer-
below, yes, this year. Came in, the bids come in really good.
What you're talking about.
Right.
Or is that something you'd have in a SIP plan out in, you know, so we understand what the cost potentials are and, you know, if we have to fund this, it's gonna be a budget situation that's, we're gonna start planning for like now.
So, yes.
Yesterday, well, now, and it depends on how much it's gonna cost us, when we could possibly do that. And fit it in the budget,
Right.
or figure out where the revenue's coming from, get a bit.
Right.
So, I mean, a SIP plan for 5 years, you know, if it's in there, just a number on it, I think would help for us to try to prioritize that, you know, whether we set aside funds, try to pay for some of that, or we just, you know, straight bond at the time and do it that way, but I think we can start talking about it in the budget
Right,
session, put it on the map.
I
right.
think that's definitely something we can get from BG
Yeah.
to see.
Oh, absolutely. I had a preliminary number on that at one time.
Yeah, I thought
It's been several years ago, but I mean, it's something we have looked at as cost. It's gonna depend on what type of material we want to concrete, we
Yeah.
want, put back asphalt. There's lots of decisions to be
Especially if
made.
you're gonna use that as a gate to do the streets.
So,
Right.
let's say we get approved for this grant for the first streets, the first floor and all that, when we bond that, can you do it in a way where, you know, the sales tax money only plays for the big streets, but you can also roll the 11th Street expansion, and you're finishing the same bond?
Yeah, you could.
But the sales tax
Bigger
will pay-
bond.
It'd be a bigger bond, but the sales tax don't only pay for the bricks.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
use the sales tax to
okay,
pay for
gotta
the
be,
bunks.
yeah, I don't know, I appreciate the creativity there, that's really good. But you gotta remember the way the, sales tax resolution was passed, it was specific for brick streets. So
That's why I'm-
So you can't take that money, so it'd have to be some other funding along with
And that's what
that.
he's saying is that
Yeah,
you use just the sales tax funds to pay for the portion of the bond
that's,
for the brick streets, but
right,
you bond out for 11th Street also, which will exceed the sales tax revenue. But then we'll have
Come
to
out of
fund.
general fund.
Yeah,
Right,
tax
yeah,
doesn't
you
fund
could,
those.
and there might be a way to gain from that, to make that,
Just so
yeah.
you don't have to do multiple bonds.
Yeah, you said bond cost.
Right, but we we need to run that by our bond council first
Right.
before we can make that determination, so,
Oh, so don't do multiple bonds coming out there.
right.
Does that take in another cost? That takes in another cost, you got 20% coming out of what you're trying to get.
Well, that's if you go for a
If you
grant.
exceed that bond, huh?
That's if you do the grant, but the bond, you have your bond expense for going out for a bond. But if you don't go for a grant for 11th Street, then the 20% doesn't matter. 'cause
That's
they're
right,
for houses.
that's right. It's null and void then. You still owe the 20%, but you don't have to add to it.
That's if we apply for the grant with 11th Street included. Which we could,
And
we
let's
can
work
do
on
it.
that, because to me, it's part of the Brook Street
It is.
program, it just is.
I'm thinking like a healthcare
Right.
plan, like preventative health.
We talked about it forever.
I agree.
You really want to put new Brook Streets down and drive overloaded
Yeah.
cemeteries? No, we don't.
I agree that it's part of the system that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I just hate to see us go into debt to have to do it, but that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
I hate
And that's
that.
where we'd have to set aside revenue for years and years and years and years until we had enough to pay for it.
And we got,
That's, it'd be.
and we got so many other things on our head, over our head. Why don't we play the lottery?
Well, that'd be great if municipalities could. I don't think.
I feel like the taxpayers might frown on that.
If we won the lottery with taxpayer money, then be standing here with their hands up and I want to.
The lottery is sales
But-
tax.
Thank you, Rob. I don't think we have
Thank
any
you.
questions.
That's, you know.
I feel like that needs to be said publicly.
Repeat that one more time.
For the
Say your
record.
caveat there.
Any other council discussion on this agenda? No, I'll entertain a motion. Rob, your recommendation is base bid, add alt 3 and add alt 4, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I motion we approve the bid from Harbor Construction for the base bid of $95,647.90 with the addition of the alternate 3 and alternate 4 for $6,946.40 and $23,946.80.
I'll second.
Moving and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, the city vehicle take-home policy. So this is something that I'm bringing forward to the council. Had some requests for it from the public, so we put together something for the council to consider. It can obviously be changed to whatever, but it's in your packet. Essentially, we did have a policy, a loosely written policy. This basically outlines what emergency personnel would be, such as utility personnel, electric, power plants, sewer, police and fire, as well as gives the city administrator discretion within the city, the school district boundaries for any other employees to allow for take-home vehicle. I'll be honest, I thought we had one a few years ago, we had a discussion about it, but we didn't, so that is why I am bringing it from the council now. Anybody from the public like to speak to this agenda item? Council questions, concerns, comments?
I thought we did have a policy where we addressed that because some time ago we had an employee who would clear out west, like 40 miles away, and I think that it got maybe some.
We had some complaints, we did have an employee that lived about 45, 50 miles to the west, that we had some car beer accidents.
I'll
caused
say
some-
two.
Yeah. And addressed, but the policy never was changed.
Are we self-insured? Do we have a policy, or do we, like, if we were to hit a deer,
Yeah, it would fall under our just normal policy.
but we do have a comp
Sure,
policy
yeah,
for
all
city
of our
vehicles?
vehicles are covered under our.
What's the
our
deduction
policy.
on something like that?
Well, I think it's 500. Kind of have to check, but it's a pretty small deductible on
I think I've done that, Corey, that same thing, and where the, you know, with the state as well as with the water, with the water district, they pay the insurance over it all.
Yeah,
But my insurance, well, your insurance, I checked with him to see, because I was driving a company vehicle, and he said, you are covered, just like if you rented a car.
right, right.
So,
Yeah.
so not only that, but if that, the person who has a city operated vehicle or operates a city motor vehicle and takes it home is also covered under his own policy if they have a motor vehicle,
Right,
I think.
that's right. That's, I mean, it depends how your policy's underwritten, but yeah, that's generally par for the course. A lot of it has to do, you know, when you're doing these coverage investigations too, is say, well, where are we headed? Say, well, I was home from work. Oh, you want to work? Okay, so then it goes, tears out from there.
Do we have any employees that live outside of the district that are emergency type vehicles, or emergency type people that we would need?
Yes,
We do?
yes.
And where is that, where would that be?
Ottawa, right? Both of them live in Ottawa, for a power plant and for electric.
that. Yeah, either there or just outside, just north of Alva.
Okay, with what's written here within the school district, do we have to make exceptions for that?
That's what D,
His discretion.
I'm sorry, Corey.
that's what D
Yeah.
D addresses department heads that live in that area, outside the school district, in those departments.
At the discretion of the city administrator.
Discretion of
He
what?
calls it within, and what he's saying is that says within the school district.
So him being a department head, he has the discretion to make the decision to use his city vehicle outside?
No.
No, so if you live within the city, use a city vehicle, emergency needs, outside the city, but within the school district, city administrator has the discretion to allow.
These, yes. So
That's how I'm reading it.
these departments,
So clarify that.
okay. So electric department, water department, wastewater department, police department, and fire department would be allowed to have take-home vehicles wherever they live.
Wherever they live.
The city administrator would have discretion on any department head living within the school
District?
district.
Okay,
That would be his discretion.
okay. That makes sense.
Do you currently have enough vehicles to meet what we've outlined in G?
You stole my line.
And I got that question from Jerry.
Yeah, Glenn, currently we have, correct me if I'm wrong, we have employees from the electric department, water department, wastewater department, police department, fire department that already are taking home vehicles outside of city, outside school district. And we
Well,
have the
yeah,
vehicles.
the electric department, I know, yeah, for sure, water, don't know if anybody, wastewater, I don't think, police. Typically, they have take-home cars, I don't know any police department that doesn't allow that these days, and
None
then,
of my police department cars are outside the school district.
they're not outside the school district, right, I'm just going through the emergency ones we got here. And then, fire department, of course, those would be all inside. So I guess the only question I would have as going through this is the list on there from electric to fire department, is that, for example, or is that the exclusive, are those just the departments? Or is there anybody else who
Yeah.
can be considered an emergency,
What other department would you consider?
emergency personnel?
What other department would you consider emergency personnel?
Well, that's what I'm asking, if that's,
I mean, I would
That is-
consider this an exclusive list.
okay, that's what I thought the intent was. I just wanted to clarify that.
And it's just department heads, so I'm thinking, so electric Is it just the department head and anybody else that would,
I'm going there
they'd have
too.
to use their own vehicle?
I'm going there too. What if the department
I don't
head is
think
on,
any other besides department heads have.
one of the department heads on vacation and he assigns.
The only thing
it.
that deviates from department heads is, there- in parentheses, this includes all officers from police.
Yeah.
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 If the department head's on vacation, can he assign that to another person, another employee?
Well, if you look up on B, then the department head shall have the authority to approve an on-call employee use of city vehicle for a 24-hour period, even though the employee may live beyond the city limits.
Right.
So they can assign.
That allows it.
That allows it for a 24-hour period.
So we have nobody in the office that would need a vehicle to take home, is that correct?
That would be a question for Glenn.
I mean, we got Shiloh and those two girls
Right,
and Lynn, so
right.
they're all office people, they don't need a vehicle, do they?
Well, the only one that does right now is Angel, our IT director. The rest of us do. I don't have a city vehicle.
Why would she need one?
For calling out at, or whatever. I mean, typically a person in IT, whatever, is on call 24 hours a day. So if there is whatever that goes on that needs attention, then that's why you would have that person there.
If I may, I will say the police department has called their IT person at night to fix something emergent, and it does happen more often than you think it does.
Do you live outside the school?
I do. I live in Lawrence.
But where they come in or working remotely?
It depends. Sometimes they have to come in, and sometimes they can do it remote. It really does depend.
If hardware failure happens, then it has to be physical, but if it can be done remotely, we try and do it remotely if possible to alleviate that so then it doesn't go into the taxpayers.
But it's not something that can wait till morning, usually for us, unfortunately.
So I'm just thinking about like my job where I work, a normal company typically operates where, it's typically just your executives will get a car allowance. And anybody else, if you're using your car for company purposes, then you just do a gas reimbursement. That's what makes sense to me.
Yeah, do we not have a policy, I guess, that covers, I know when I was even with the highway patrol, if we got called out and it was for 15 minutes, I'm back 2 hours. Do we have anything?
Then that's exactly what our policy also is. So if you're on call and you do call in, it's a minimum 2 hour. That's for hourly wage people. In her case, they're being salaried, that it doesn't matter. So you're on call 20, whether, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you wouldn't get any adjustment for pay for that.
So do we have mileage reimbursement?
We do have a policy for mileage reimbursement, yeah.
How many vehicles are we talking about? How many vehicles are we gonna have gone on a weekend
I have no idea.
or an evening?
This has been a complaint in the city of Baldwin for as long as I've been there. Even with the departments that we've outlined in here as emergency. I've had people complaining.
So we don't know how many vehicles we got available that's gonna go with department heads. Glenn, how many is going?
Well, you have to go down through each department. I mean, electric, you're gonna have, the electric linemen, they're gonna have their truck, water, wastewater, same thing. Police department, you guys have a dozen cars?
Not outside the city, probably
Well, I'm
The
just
only
saying,
the only vehicles that are outside the city is mine.
yeah,
It's 1,000 feet outside the city limits.
right.
And then the other one is my sergeant's, and he is a half mile outside.
He
the
lives
city
out there,
limits.
right?
Right.
Correct. Those are the only two cars outside the city.
So it just tends to be one vehicle per department.
Per department, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's your normal.
So it's one per department, and, which is 3. Then whatever the police department has, currently doing, that would be new.
But again, this allows for within the city, within the school district.
Electric, water, wastewater.
And also code enforcement.
No, I'm sorry?
Code enforcement also has a city vehicle.
That's stupid, right?
Correct, yeah.
There's about 7, outside the police department, probably 7 approximately.
Yeah, I would say that's a good number, yeah.
Cars.
That's at the city administrative discretion. Code enforcement would be at the city administrative discretion if they live within schools. Anything outside of emergency vehicles is at the city administrative discretion of the school district.
So you're saying, Chief, that the IT person can fix a problem from wherever they may be without being here?
That depends. If it's a software issue or something like that, usually Angel can log in and fix it remotely, because she has remote access.
Without
If it's
having
a
to,
hardware issue, she has to be present to fix that.
And how often does that happen?
It depends. It really does. I don't know, Angel hasn't been on very long, but prior to that, in a month's time, or let's just say like a 6-month time, because it may not happen for a month. It may be 6 or 7 times.
in a year,
No, in about a 6-month period.
6 or 7 times in a 6-month
Yeah,
period?
probably around once a month for his department.
Just for my department.
Nobody else.
And there are lots of things that we choose not to call in the middle of the night, just out of courtesy. But some things just can't wait. If our record management system goes down, that's the connectivity of our cars that let dispatch know to send us a call. They don't even show us on the board as working if that's not working.
But the other example would be last night, we had a storm come through, took down some limbs, so the central circuit downtown was out for about 2 hours. So that takes in our main server downtown. So that has to be rebooted and everything when the power gets back on, in order for them to come in and function.
And that can't be done without being in the office?
No, that can be done, but if there was something else that happened because of that, because of the outage, then that person would be called in at that hour also for, that. And we're a place that gets storms, so sometimes it can be fixed remotely and rebooted, and we're usually pretty good at that, since we have that happens a lot to us, unfortunately. But it's just, there's many things that can happen, so. So anyway, so the question is, and that's why I asked originally, is that considered emergency or not? And how do you make that determination? I don't know. So that kind of leaves us in a gray area for me.
For the information that I see that's written here, that covers electric, the water, the wastewater, and the police department, and Stu would take into that area, I would agree with that.
That's how it's written.
I'm sorry?
That's how it's written.
Yes,
I
that's,
mean, and again, any city employee that the city administrator deems necessary within the city, or within the school district.
within the school district.
Within the school district.
I would agree with that.
All right, entertain a motion.
Well, I mean, Glenn's got a gray area, I think it's, do we want to leave that gray area? I mean, I think that's not necessarily fair to Glenn to have it out there. So I understand IT, it will probably be coming, if you do anything on the, on the intranet, basis in the future, probably more need. But is there another way, you know, is it really just the need to have a vehicle available? Because I would assume they have a vehicle, whoever it is, if they took a job in one city and live in another, they're prepared to
Oh, sure.
make that
yeah.
commute. So is there another way, and I haven't seen the employment contractor, but to make up for, you know, being on call 24, hours a day, and if you had to get called out outside of business hours, do we make that up some way in compensation?
The 2-hour callback.
Yeah, well, just like anybody else would,
No,
though.
you're on salary.
Yeah, right, so because of the salary situation.
Is there some other, yeah, so,
You can actually still do comp time when you're a salaried employee.
You can?
Yeah, you can.
and is that what we're doing?
That's typically what we do, yeah.
I can see a vehicle being available for the IT person that would be here in the city, that once they got here, they
Sure.
could use it for whatever they needed to use it for.
Yeah.
Certainly, that makes sense.
I think so, so long as, is it true call out, you are outside the school district, and you have compensation for that call, and your gas and everything's taken care of. As long as there's a policy in place for that.
Yeah.
But that leaves the idea, what is a call out? If you're calling home and you have the equipment
I
at
think it
home
means
to
if you
make
have to
that.
travel.
If you have to travel, yeah.
Not
If you have to do
necessarily.
it.
Not
And if she gets
necessarily.
called, if she gets called at home, and she can do that work from home.
Right, but
Yeah, but that
I
wouldn't.
assume that's still a call out.
Is that 2 hours? Is
You're,
that
you're
considered? a
you're
call
still
out?
working in 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
Right.
and the fact you didn't have to drive, that's still a call out, right? I would assume, Glenn?
It would, sure.
Yeah, so you don't
Yeah.
delineate just paying if they have to come in, it's,
That's not.
you're getting paid a salary for normal, I'm assuming that salary was built on a, 8-hour work schedule.
That's correct, yeah, just like everybody else.
And so,
Yeah.
but the need is 24. So you need to make sure that, someone that's willing to do that, which is very difficult, a lot of times you have to have multiple people. And when she's on vacation,
I would like to inject that I also do a lot of the maintenance windows after hours. So if hard drives fail, anything like that, I would be doing that 100% after hours anyway to make sure business continuity is not down. So there's also all of that. A lot of the scheduled things would be done after hours, and if something physical doesn't move back up, then I'd have to drive all the way back into town on my own vehicle as well. Which is kind of the big issue that I've faced is some of the equipment has stayed offline when it was rebooted over the last couple weeks. We've noticed, and I've had to come out in the middle of the night and come and reboot some of it.
but that's a call out, you're gonna get compensated for that. I would assume the after hours work also. So what it really comes down to is the need for that vehicle a necessity to get you here, because you're gonna get compensated for using your own time, your own vehicle. To me, it's that, do you need that city vehicle to do that?
I can't see so at this point in time.
I don't feel like it's justified.
You want
I don't feel like it's justified,
the vehicle?
right.
I know you.
And, I think we have to be good stewards of taxpayers' money.
And you have to draw.
So what do you need?
Do you need a motion?
Well, I'd like to also mention that Douglas County's IT also does have take-home vehicles as well, because these exact situations do happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's mainly the department head that does have a take-home vehicle. So it would really only be myself that would have a take-home, and I'm already working on trying to move into the city anyway. So, but it is very hard with the current real estate market with what I'm dealing with.
We need a motion on this.
Yes.
How you want it with the 1/6 use of city vehicle and equipment?
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept this 1.6 use of city vehicles and equipment as written and presented.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item, UTV purchase, police department, chief.
Mayor and council, thank you very much. It's Mike Patrick, Chief of Police, 203 First Street.
First,
Mike.
We had last year requested in our budget a UTV. We are finding ourselves where we are more often than not in a downtown situation where the streets are blocked off. It's a large area that's blocked off, and we need to maneuver quickly from one end to another, and walking isn't getting it done. We also have larger venues such as the golf course area. There's the walking path, trail path that's going to be extended, things like that. They're going to be harder for us to manage with conventional vehicles or on foot. So with that, we requested to get a UTV. We have been using UTVs up until now, but they have been borrowed. We have been using the good graces of Lawrence Police Department to use theirs, as well as I have a personal one, so does another sergeant. We've been using our own personal ones for that duty. So we wanted one that was going to be outfitted with emergency lighting, so we spec'd one out that was a Polaris model. At the time, that price tag came in at about $40,000 fully equipped, which is extremely high. I have to give credit to the mayor who texted me an opportunity of another type of one that we didn't know about it already, because we had looked at Kawasaki's, we had looked at Kubotas, we had looked at Polaris's, we had looked at, gosh, there was another one, I can't remember the name. Oh, Can-Am's. I looked at all those. Those were all quite expensive for what we were looking at. The one that the mayor had sent to us to look at was quite affordable, but it was a brand name we hadn't heard of before. So we did some research looking into it. That model appears to be very robust. It's one that obviously I'd never heard of, but they sell them over in Lansing. And so we went and looked at it. I say we, one of my sergeants went over and looked at it. He has sat in all of the models. This one is really large. It's also an enclosed cab. It's climate controlled. And it comes at a price tag which doesn't have the emergency lighting in it yet, but it comes at a price tag of a little over $26,000. So we believe we can get it all outfitted for less than $30,000, which is going to be less than, or more than $10,000 less than what we'd originally thought. So the request before you is to allow us, under our budget that you already approved us, to go ahead and make this purchase for $26,600 and some change out of Lansing for this UTV.
I'm looking at the same one.
Are you really? It's quite impressive.
He told me.
Now I'll tell you, I had some reservations.
I look at Facebook Market.
I did have some reservations. It's a Chinese-made product, but it's assembled here in the United
I've heard
States.
about this.
And you can get all the parts readily
If you get one
available.
with Mara his, you don't need to get.
Right. Yeah, we've been in the borrowing business for quite a while.
Do you have to teach driving for this?
No.
Is it required for?
No, it's not required. Everything's always recommended that you have specific training and stuff like that. I can tell you that a number of us in the department are used to driving UTVs, so it's not much different. We don't plan to use it in a pursuit mode. It does allow us to get from one place to
Unless you're
another
running from them.
more quickly. We're not going to be chasing cars in this thing.
He's not gonna catch me if I run from him anyway. That 6'2" will flat get it. He'd take anything he's
I'm
got.
talking about you on foot.
Well, I'm not gonna run very far on foot.
On your scooter.
You've gotta have a big dog to do that.
So I have to thank the mayor publicly for letting us know about this. It happened to be a good find.
And you do have the funding.
We do have the funding, yes. I just need, since it's past the budget authority for myself or my boss, Glenn, to approve, it does take a council vote for us to get it. And it is literally waiting on the lot for us to pick it up as soon as you say yes.
No, I'm so proud of all the events that we're hosting, and it's just growing even more and more, and it's been a need for a while. I think it's time to satisfy. Personally,
Make a motion.
I motion we approve the, how do you pronounce that?
I'm sorry?
How do you pronounce it?
Odes?
Odes.
Oh, there you go.
I call it Odes.
Odes.
If it's pronounced another way, I couldn't tell
I've
you.
been saying Odies.
I'd go with that too.
Wait, one more, one second.
Go ahead.
What's the warranty on it?
The warranty, I'll be honest, I can't tell you specifically what the warranty is. I could try to look it up for you
I
though.
never did ever think he was dishonest,
Yeah, I don't want to give you an answer because I'm not sure.
but it would have a warranty.
It does have a warranty, a full warranty.
Continue on, Corey.
I move we approve the vehicle purchase from Lansing Motorsports for $26,699.
A second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next item, council committee report, budget finance.
We did not meet since the last council meeting. Next meeting will be Friday, 7:30 a.m., second floor of City Hall.
Community development, Corey.
We've not met, the next time we meet, to Susan.
Come back to me.
Hold on, so I'll get it here, 1 second. I have the thing here. It's the fourth weekend, right? The third
So
weekend.
it'd be the 27th,
Yeah,
27th, 4 o'clock.
27, 4 o'clock, second floor City Hall.
All right. Public safety, Susan.
We have not met, we are scheduled to meet, the 14th at 4 o'clock.
Public works,
I
Julie.
won't be here, you got my message, right?
Yes, I did.
Jared.
Sorry.
Public works, do you got anything from?
Yes, Public Works, we met and we discussed the containers that we're talking about for recycling. To check with the county to see if we could get some assistance on that from the county. And the county has advised that they have about 5 or 6 of these units already out in the county at $6,000. Now, I don't know whether that's per month or per year.
Sounds like per year based on our bid.
Well,
Per month.
I will go
6,000 per month? Oh, for all those?
Yeah.
Okay.
8,000 per month, is that correct?
6,000 per month.
Yeah. And they are not at all interested in giving us any assistance.
Surprise, surprise. Keep going.
Well, that's as far as I'm going with it. She and I, Julie and I are against it to start with. We can't see a need for it, really. And we have discussed it in the council meetings, the last one, as a matter of fact, the problem that it could cause when it's not open, and you're gonna have to have it open, and that means another employee at certain periods of time, or working an existing employee overtime to keep it open on weekends or holidays or whatever you may want.
Okay.
Amen, brother.
All right. Next meeting?
Next meeting is the 16th
Okay.
at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Strategic plan, Scott.
We did meet, and we had Ryan at ETC presented the follow-up survey, which is in your packet, 2024 City of Baldwin City Satisfaction Follow-Up Survey. You can see the questions. We talked about this in the strategic planning workshop about going out and getting more detailed feedback around those 4 least favorable topics that came back from the survey. So pretty straightforward. There's, 16 selection boxes of, related to each one of those questions about what specifically were you not happy about. So we get that information and then rank your top 3. So we should get some information around that, and they're sending it out to those that responded in the community survey that were willing to get another survey. So that will be the first pass. I can't remember how many that was. I think 400.
400, yeah.
400 had indicated they're willing to take another survey, so they'll get the first pass of this. And then depending on the feedback that we get, the amount of feedback we get, we may actually go back and just open it back up to everybody, see who else wants to participate. So that should be going out here fairly soon to those 400, and we'll get that information as soon as that's available. Go through the same process, they'll tabulate it, and then present back what they've done to the council.
Can I go back to one?
What's that?
Can I go back to one?
On what?
What number one?
Oh, yeah.
On the budget and stuff?
Oh, you want to go back to the council committee reports of budget finance?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have a
number
meeting.
one. Are you having any luck figuring out how we're going to see to the employees' benefits or anything at all?
So, good question. I think the survey results are back on the salary survey. And Glenn's gonna bring that next council meeting, Glenn, when's the plan to get that?
Yeah, that's correct. We're going to do it, but Julie was gone this time, so.
Are we? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Who's going to have you? Did you see the agenda?
No.
It wasn't on there. So I just don't know what, you know,
So,
I just don't know what the committee would do with that information that the full council would do.
I think it was just meant to kind of give the committee a preview of it.
Not necessary.
so you have made a move.
No, I mean, so the way
Not a
it
move,
was.
but you have been working
No,
on it.
so nothing really could be done until 25 anyway, because the budget's, you know, set. So the plan is to share the results of that survey, and then in our budget planning process for 25, we've got to figure out how we rationalize that information into salary and compensation for 25 and beyond. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, yes, that makes sense.
So, Glenn, I would just suggest we bring it to full council on the next council meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
We talk about budget finance, so there's something in particular there, because really what's gonna come down to, in my mind, is, worst case scenario is, in best case scenario for employees, so I don't wanna call it worst case scenario, it's a bad term, but if we went to, you know, there'll be a range, right? If we went to the maximum range for every position that was done in the survey, relative to what we're currently paying, what would that cost us in incremental budget impact, right? So if we move everybody to the max of what the survey says.
For the department or for total?
For everybody. For everybody. So if we moved everybody to the max of what the survey says, and we can do whatever we want, but it would give us an idea of how far away we are across the board from that. And, you know, whether we can get there or want to get there or want to go past that, we can. But I think it'd be interesting to know how close we are or how far away we are in the current pay scale, current budget.
And something, appreciate what you're saying. There's something there that we really need to get done as a council before 25 hits us, so that you've got a good idea as to what we need to put in for our budget.
It'll be part of the budget.
So
That's a correct
so
thought,
part of
right?
what we're gonna discuss on Friday is we're putting the budget calendar together. We'll share that out, say, okay, we're gonna need the first budget workshop for full council here. So we'll have all the steps laid out for the 2025 budget. So you can see, you know, then the decision will have to be wrapped up by, you know,
Well, how
before.
much you're gonna take, how much you're gonna pass, right?
Yeah. So all that, along with all the other needs, all the department heads, has to be rationalized into the budget. So we're gonna spend some time on it.
Could you take in the council members and give us
No.
$200?
City administrator, staff comments?
Do we still have the work session out for the 28th?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Does everybody remember that? Work session for 28th with the department heads for budget. And that is gonna be where?
PD,
Do we have enough room in there?
we did last time.
Okay.
Would you send out a reminder to everybody about that? Yeah, put it on.
That's for department heads?
That's with the department
I
heads.
don't count, I don't count.
Thank you.
That's for council members too?
Yep, same thing we did last year.
The 28th?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know where I'll be on the 28th. Well, I'll know by the 28th where I'll be there or not. I'm going to Europe.
Any other council comments?
No, I do have one. So, you know, going back to the vehicle use policy.
The what?
The vehicle use policy, you know, I think we're in new ground here a little bit. It feels like it, so I'm not sure we really understand. But I'd like to do, you know, especially, I don't know how long it's been since we had, you know, an IT person, you know, dedicated to the city. So that's probably fairly recent. So my concern is two things. As we grow our infrastructure out, if we do more internally and not have to rely, you know, take care of some of our own information, safeguard, et cetera, that's going to require more infrastructure to do that, and there'll be rationales why we would need to do that. Another thing is it's difficult to find good IT people. And, you know, in your policies about, if you try to limit it, you know, if our policies are restrictive in any way compared to somebody else, it may limit our ability to attract those people. So I guess I would like to see how many of those call-outs we're having currently.
Okay.
And if it looks like it's significant, we need to revisit the policy. And with the thought that it's probably only gonna get more of a need. So I'm okay with where we're starting. What I'm saying is, I'm not sure that's gonna fit us for long.
It sounds like it might be
We've already had 6 call-outs within the last month and a half.
We're on the same page.
So let's just get some data, look at it, think about it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
You know, and it is about, finding good employees. And it's gonna get harder and harder, not just IT, but everything. And so I think we're gonna start becoming more flexible on, just like if we think we have great benefits package relative to everybody else, that's a selling point. If there's other, personal or city used vehicle policies that are more attractive, so all those things may be a differentiator. I just want everybody to be thinking about that. And so I'm not setting stone on it. I'm willing to go forward, but I'm willing to adjust if it makes sense.
I had thought about what you said at the time that I was making discussions. I just didn't say it because I thought I'll keep that in the back of my head, and I will inquire about it as time goes along.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there just to make sure that you guys know what I was thinking. It was a hard vote because I wasn't sure about whether it really made sense, but we're just kind of starting. It's a starting point.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Nothing's set in stone. We change it as we need to
Definitely
change it.
something we can revisit.
So I'm glad we have one. We needed to start somewhere.
Right,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
It's might not be comprehensive in a year, 6 months, or whatever.
Right.
And I'm willing to adjust if it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Let's see what happens in 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Any other
I'll
comments?
make a motion for example.
Adjournment?
Second.
Move to second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes, we're adjourned.